So welcome to the Further Maths presentation, and what I'm going to do today is going to give you some insight into the subject and how we teach it at Ashbourne College. So a little bit about myself. I'm Assistant Head of Faculty, Maths and Physics, and obviously I teach Maths and Physics in the college. So what my role involves maintaining the high standards across the faculty, not just for students, but for the staff as well. And what that means is we really want to deliver the best possible sort of package to the students who are at the college. Big part of my role is supporting students, which that can involve both enrichment and intervention, which I'll discuss a bit more during the presentation. I've worked in a variety of colleges over the years, actually, but something which really sort of resonates with me about Ashbourne is the balance that we give students here between treating them like adults, so giving them the freedom, the independence that they need, but also, giving them the structure and support that they require to really get the best out of them, because they are obviously young adults. They're on that boundary between being children and adults. So we try and give them that right balance, and I feel Ashbourne sort of does that perfectly. We really do care about our students at college, and as I said, we just try and get the best out of them. So what have I got in line for you guys today? A little bit about why you should be taking, why you might want to take A-level Further Maths, what it involves, how we teach it at Ashbourne, and then, as Chris said, either you can try and throw questions in as we're going along, or you can ask questions at the end. That's no problem. So why should you take further mathematics? Well, just a little bit about my own experience. I did further maths myself when I was in sixth form. When I think back to when I did it, I would be honest, I thought I was pretty good at maths, so it's something I just wanted to do. I did enjoy maths. But why should you take further maths? Sort of skill sets that I've listed here, which I think any further mathematician should really have. Are you numerate? Do you enjoy solving problems? Do you like thinking logically and analytically? Are you an abstract thinker? Are you a little bit, can you think sort of outside the box sometimes? Curious, are you resilient? And do you like a challenge? So I think these are many traits which are quite popular with further mathematicians. And I mean, on top of all of that, as I said, I think at the beginning, if you really enjoy maths, and you feel you're good at it and you want to be stretched, these are all good reasons to consider doing further maths. What is it useful for? Eventually you're going to go beyond A-level, hopefully, and work towards university and a career. Well, it's a facilitating subject, just like maths is, I'm sure Sean has mentioned. Further maths is also a facilitating subject. And anyone doing a numerically related or technically related course at university would find it very helpful to have further maths as one of their A-levels. So obviously, if you want to do maths at university, I would heavily recommend doing further maths. There's going to be a lot of overlap between what you're doing in further maths A-level and a maths degree. But even if you are interested in engineering or natural sciences or economics, computing, or in the medical field, further maths A-level would be very strong in your application. So it is a very universal sort of facilitating subject. What sort of skills would you develop should you take further maths? Well, you're going to learn a lot of maths, of course. So we call these sort of mathematical techniques and procedures. So you've learned a lot already, I'm sure. You'll learn some new ones when you're doing the A-level, and you'll learn even more when you're doing the further maths. But one thing I want to mention is it's not just about doing the maths, but it's also about understanding what you're doing and understanding how to apply that to lots of different situations. So not just doing the maths. I'm sure a lot of you are interested in maths. That's why you're hopefully listening to this presentation. But how do you apply it? And what are the limitations of that application? So we're talking about modeling, and looking at the criteria behind that. So lots of applications to real life. So what does the further maths actually involve? We've got the full A level covered in the first year, which my colleague Sean, I'm sure, has mentioned to you previously. So you do what I call the normal A level in the first year, the regular A level maths, and then we do the further maths content and syllabus in the second year. So it's a 2-year program where you're going to obtain 2 A levels. So you get a maths A level in the first year, you get further maths in the second year. So the maths A level, we give you 8 hours of learning a week, 8 hours of classroom time a week in the first year for the A level maths, and another 8 hours in the second year for the further maths. One small sort of minor difference between the 2 years, apart from obviously the standard, is in the first year when you're doing the A level maths, you are going to learn both mechanics and statistics, whereas in the second year you are going to focus more on, you will be focusing on one or the other. So you don't study both of those in the second year. So you get to specialize in whichever one you prefer, which we'll talk about a bit more in a second. So what does further maths involve? I mean, I'm sure Sean has mentioned maybe some of the topic areas that you might come across in the normal A level. So in further maths, we have a variety of more advanced maths topics. Some of them are a continuation of what you've learned in your A-level maths, and some of them are brand new topics. So it's really good for students who have enjoyed A-level maths and are looking to stretch themselves even more and curious to find out about some new topics. You know, there's a whole host of options there. So things like matrices and complex numbers there in the list are some of the new topics which you'll encounter should you do further maths. And I think Chris will be encountering some complex numbers in a second.
I'm looking forward to it.
Okay, so moving on to the applied maths part of the content, you can specialize in either statistics or mechanics when you're doing further maths. We tend to find our sort of engineering and physics students lean towards more of the mechanics options, just because there's more overlap with what they're interested in and with what they want to do at university. And a lot of our data scientists, economists, social scientists will lean towards the statistics options for similar reasons. Here we go. So a little bit of an example of some of the new content that you might come across in the A-level further maths. So one of the topics is complex numbers, it's a new set of numbers that we need to understand and work with in order to explain and solve more complicated maths problems. You know, if we think about how maths developed over time, you know, I'm not going to give a full history lesson here, but we started with what are called natural numbers. So what you can count on your fingers, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And that was all well and good up to an extent. But sooner or later, we came to a situation where we needed more numbers to explain the world around us. So thus, we came across negative numbers and fractions, which needed time to develop and understand. And in a similar sort of way, you will learn the topic of complex numbers in further mathematics. So here's a quick example. We've got here a very introductory idea about complex numbers, where we've got the square root of a negative number. Now that might look a little bit strange to some of you, because if anyone's done maths at school, you probably know that you can't take the square root of a negative number. But we considered the notion that you can, and you can see there we've defined I there, which is called the imaginary number, as the square root of -1. And then you can see here there's some blanks here which need to be filled in. So if this was a class right now, I'd be getting everyone to fill those in. But I'm just curious to know if anyone has an idea of what I squared might be. So this is where you're timesing a number by itself. And you can see that the number that we're timesing by itself already has a square root on it. So I don't know if there's anyone there who'd like to offer a suggestion for what I squared might be.
I hope so. They can save me from answering, because I'm really not sure. Does anyone know?
And don't be shy, Chris. If you want to shout out a suggestion, I'm not going to bite your head off.
Okay, we've got two suggestions here they're the same from Anna and Eric. They're both saying -1. Yep, Samara's saying -1 as well.
Well, that's an excellent answer. That's an excellent answer. But that is absolutely correct. That's absolutely correct.
Yeah, I was going to say that anyway, so that's good.
You're taking away their thunder, Chris. That's excellent. That's excellent. And can I push them then for the third option there, I cubed? Should we just push that one more and then I'll move on? I cubed, I to the power of 3.
Anyone know that? Got an answer here. 1. From
Very
Anna.
close.
1
Very
from Eric
close.
as well.
Who said 1?
That was Anna and Eric. Also 1 from Akinbowale.
Not
So looks like they're on it.
Almost there. I mean, that needs a little bit of refining. So I would encourage those students to definitely attend further maths classes just to refine that element. So the answer for I cubed, if I just go to the next slide. Thank you for your suggestions, by the way. That's brilliant. Maybe we did rescue Chris there. So you can see there I squared is indeed -1. Well done, everyone. I think some of you were thinking of the next one along, which is I to the power of 4. If you can see at the bottom of the screen there, is actually 1. And the odd one out there, I cubed, is actually -I. And if that's not obvious, I wouldn't worry about it straight away. I mean, this is what happens, I think, when you encounter a new topic in maths or in any subject, actually. You know, you're not always expected to get it straight away. You know, I think that's one of the big jumps up, even from GCSE to A-level, where in GCSE you kind of read something and immediately you get it. In A-level, I think it takes time and you have to sort of dwell on those ideas, and it does take time to absorb. So well done, everyone, for answering the I squared, and I think a bit of work needed there for I cubed, okay? One of the equations here, which I'm quite fascinated with, which again you would learn if you're doing further maths, where we've got 5 actually of the most important numbers that exist in one equation. So it's a very beautiful equation, if I can call it that. It's called Euler's identity. And we've got here the numbers 0 and 1, which themselves are quite important, and I'm sure most of you have heard of. And you've got 3 other numbers here, which are pi, which some of you have seen are to do with circles. We have I, which we've just seen, something to do about square root of negative things. And you have this number E as well, which is also another very important number in maths, to do with rates of change and also to do with infinite sequences. Now you might think that's all a bit abstract and it's all a bit out there, but I can assure you that complex numbers are essential in a lot of real-life applications. When we're solving differential equations, when we're analyzing periodic motion, a lot of relevance to things like quantum mechanics, electronic engineering, to name but a couple there. Okay, moving on. How is the A-level in further mathematics assessed? So you're going to have 4 exam papers at the end of the second year, testing you on pure maths, 3 papers on pure maths and 1 on applied maths. Let's not forget, in the first year, you will be doing the normal A-level maths, the one Sean has explained to you already. So in the normal A-level, it's 3 exam papers covering pure maths and applied maths. In the second year, you will do 4 exam papers covering pure and applied, as you can see there. So why take further maths at Ashbourne? So there are a variety of reasons I can offer for that. The support that's offered, the extracurricular clubs that we we let students try out, the learning and classroom experience, and the results that are achieved by the subject, by the students doing the exam. So in terms of support, I think this is a very important thing, and it's one of the reasons we get such good sort of results and such happy students coming out of the college. We do have small class sizes, and what you'll get in those small class sizes is individual attention. So there's no hiding in class, there's no sort of ducking into the corner and trying to hide. That's not possible at Ashbourne. So everyone in my class is working, and if for any reason their attention is diverted to their phone or out of the window, I mean, I know what's going on, so I will know straight away that their attention needs to come back to me and they need to stay on task. We have regular assessments in class, when you're doing classwork, when you're doing homework each week. All of that is communicated by Google Classroom, so we have a constant communication between teacher and student. And then we have our regular assessments where we're doing half-termly tests, testing students' understanding and knowledge, and allowing them to do that essential exam practice. You know, we don't want to go into that summer exam cold. You have to really have, you know, you really have to be on your toes, and you need to have done a lot of practice in order to do the best you can. Remember, it's a competitive environment. You're competing against a lot of students when you're applying for university. So we have to be on form all the way through. And support means also that we can offer challenge and intervention, both of those things, for any student who needs it. So anyone who feels they want to be stretched beyond the syllabus, and anyone who feels they need that extra support just to keep them on track, all of that is readily available at the college. So in terms of the clubs that we offer, I think Sean has mentioned a couple of these already, so I'll just run you through these again, if that's okay. We've got the UKMT maths competition training, we've got the maths mentoring scheme, and we also offer STEP support. And you've got lots of opportunities there, I believe, to add strength, you know, and value to your application when you're applying for university. So the Maths Challenge Club, which I believe Sean has mentioned, where we are training students both for individual and team competitions. So we've had a good run of recent results. So we've had students reach the second round of the individual competitions. It's a very prestigious British Maths Olympiad Round 2. It's a sort of competition where you would then, the best competitors there would then be chosen for the British national team. So that's the sort of level students have been working at in the past. And likewise with the team challenge, I've taken students over the last 3 years to the regional competition, and I'm happy to say, you know, 2 out of the last 3 years we've made it through to the national final. So I'm really hoping for another strong run of results this year. But it all comes from students' hard work, knuckling down each week, going through problems, doing that hard graft, and then reaping the rewards for that. So sort of things you gain from that are sort of problem-solving skills, lateral thinking, sort of thinking outside the box, looking at different ways to solve problems, using your time efficiently, so you're not sort of taking too long on any particular problem, but not just you know, doing it as quickly as possible, being accurate as well. So we need that sort of fine balance. And obviously those soft skills, organizational and collaborative skills, which are so important in today's sort of workforce. Moving on then to the STEP math support. So we have some very highly aspiring students at college, some of them who want to study at the top universities, Oxford, Cambridge, Imperial. And so STEP math support is there to help students prepare for those entrance exams. We've had a really good year this year where we've had 2 offers for maths at Cambridge. And we've got a whole load of year 12s just coming through now who will want to try and follow in those footsteps as well. And STEP's also important, not just for maths sorry, it's not just important for maths at university, but also for other related courses such as engineering, computing and economics at Cambridge and at some of the top Russell Group universities. We also have the Maths Mentoring Scheme, where we've got some of our more able students helping students who need a bit more support. And what I really like about that is, for me, it really builds a sense of community in the college. So we've got students giving back to the college, you know, some of their skills and some of their time and energy. It really develops their communication skills, strengthens confidence for both parties, and it really, like I said, gives back something to the college. So makes them feel valued in that sense. I've just put here a couple of sort of honest feedback comments from one of our students who's just finished her further maths this year. So Kimia is one of our sort of stellar students this year, who's been a member of the student council. She's been part of the medical program. She's gone on to do 4 A-levels at Ashbourne. And here's some of her feedback about the further maths course. So she said, I chose to do it because I genuinely enjoy maths. She found it a really good experience overall, although it was much more difficult than maths. I'm not saying further maths is easy, but she is glad she did it. And she thought all of the teachers were really helpful with answering the questions that she had. So, you know, she was, I'm not going to lie to you, she was predicted, I think she got an A star in her A-level maths in the first year. So she was predicted very highly, and she was aiming very high in the second year. But nevertheless, she did find some of it tough, and she still had to go and seek teachers outside of the classroom to answer some of her questions. But she's a good example of how students are getting through the course and moving on to bigger and better things, if you like, after A-levels. And I'll just end with some of the results that we've got through, that we've got for further maths. So we've got the last 3 years, I've just summarized some of the data. We've got almost half of our students on A stars there, and almost 3/4, you know, nearing 3/4 on A star. We're talking well above the national average there. Here are the popular sort of uni destinations for our further mathematicians. So we can see there are some prominent Russell Group universities there and Cambridge there with 4 students. And as I said, we've got a few students coming through this year who've got offers at Russell Group and at Cambridge. So just to give you an example, we've got 4 students this year who've got offers at Cambridge, 4 further maths students, I should say, 2 for maths, 1 for natural sciences, and 1 for computing. So these numbers, touch wood, should be swelling and expanding quite soon. So that really concludes the presentation. There's the admissions information, the contact information for the admissions team. If anyone's still thinking about joining Ashbourne College and hasn't done so already, then there's the contact information that you would need.
I was going to ask Imran about the STEP exam. I don't know if you could talk a little bit about that in more detail. Is it going to be sort of A-level maths content? Are they expected to learn new things to take that? Because I'm sure many of the students that are in the course at the moment are interested in sort of applying to those top universities that might require it.
Yeah, that's a really good question, Chris. So basically, the criteria for the STEP exam is that it's based on the content of the A-level. Well, there's three STEP papers. So you've got Step 1, which will be based on the content of the normal A-level maths, and then you have Step 2 and Step 3, which is based on the content of the further maths course. And they are. I mean, I've just been doing some work with some of the Year 12s, so they are a step above the sort of exam standard questions you would get for the normal A-level. So they are harder in terms of how different topics are linked together in questions. They are harder in terms of the depth to which those questions are posed. So yes, you need to be a fluent A-level mathematician, but the STEP support is there to really take you beyond that and to train you up to think in the way that you need to think and to practice for those particular exams. So the A-level understanding is kind of the prerequisite, if you like. It's a stepping stone towards the STEP understanding. And, this is where we're talking about the top mathematicians in the country, the top math students in the country applying for those top maths and sort of science and engineering places at Cambridge, Warwick, Imperial, etc.
Okay, great. Thank you for that. We do have a question here from Eric, Imran, asking about how to sign up for the maths challenges.
Yeah, no problem. So basically, whenever whenever students join the college, I think there's a full program of extracurricular activities that's advertised. Is that through the student council, Chris, or something Georgina emails out, I think?
Yeah, it's normally sort of, distributed by the admin team. So they'll be notified about sign-ups and things like that. But I'm sure, Imran and the other maths teachers will be informing students throughout the year about sign-ups for that.
We're going to have posters up, and then we have reminder emails specifically about those clubs. And it's open to everyone. I mean, I know, Sean alluded to us being sort of national finalists and Duke getting into the round 2. But I would encourage anyone who's curious and interested in finding out about it to come along, try it out. We have a lunchtime session that's run to go through those sorts of questions. It's a pretty informal environment. You can bring your lunch, bring your sandwiches along, so don't feel like it's a formal lesson as such. But in that sort of environment, you're learning from each other, you're learning a little bit from myself, and it's a lot of fun.
Great, thanks, Imran. Another question here from Hugo. He's asking, how competitive is maths at university, and will they look at your GCSE grades? Another question about how to make your application stand out as well.
Yeah, so how competitive is maths at university? Well, I think it really depends where you're applying. I mean, that's the cold, hard truth of it. If we look across the sort of spectrum of university degree courses, it's probably not the most popular course that students will go for compared to engineering or something a little bit more vocational in that sense. That's not to say maths isn't a vocational course to do at university, because there's lots of things you can do with maths. But I hope it's not too obvious, but if you're applying to Cambridge, Oxford, Imperial, Warwick, Durham, and some of these top Russell Group, I mean, it is ultra competitive. It is ultra competitive. So you really need to have that extra edge. You need to have those sort of arrows in your arsenal, if you like, to stand up, above the other applicants. So like we kind of trying to allude to here, the STEP preparation that we give, the sort of extracurricular maths challenge things that we do. And I mean, not only that, I mean, at the moment, I'm guiding 2 year 12 math students with their university application. So, that also involves reading around the subject, signing up to journals, and that sort of thing. So if you are serious about, and also, there's lots of popular sort of maths documentaries and maths videos on YouTube. So if you're serious about, maths at university, I would start sowing those seeds right from the beginning and start reading around the subject and developing that interest so that you have something to write about in your personal statement that's going to stand out. So if they do call you for an interview, you can say, that thing I was writing, that I've written about, I can talk a little bit more about it. So I hope that sort of answers that question.
Great, thanks, Imran, and thank you for that question, Hugo. A question here, Imran, from Anna, asking how much does further maths benefit if taking physics as well?
Well, yes, there's a lot of overlap. I mean, if I'll be strictly honest, the requirements for physics A level, actually, you can do physics A level, although I wouldn't recommend it. You can do physics A level without doing A level maths at all. What they want is a really good GCSE grade in maths, and that technically is pretty much what you would need to get through the physics. Now, most of our students are doing A-level maths, as well as most of our physics students are doing A-level maths. So they do find some of the algebraic manipulation and analysis a bit more easy, a bit more sort of take it in their stride. And more so if you're doing further maths. So that fluency that you're going to develop and that confidence that you're going to have in your maths, it's only going to help you in physics. But I know Peter's coming up soon, and hello, Peter's coming up soon to talk about physics, and I'm sure he'll talk a bit more about this. So further maths is helpful, but it's not necessary. And don't forget, when you're doing physics, there's a lot of explain this and describe that, which perhaps the raw math skills isn't always going to help you with that. So that's what I want to say about that.
Okay, thanks, Imran, and thanks for that question, Anna. So yeah, I was actually going to ask Imran, one of the things that comes up in a lot of these webinars, and there's a bit of a sort of a theme, we're always talking about the extra things you can do to prepare for your subject and the extra things that you need to read and research to make your university application stand out. But I think with maths, it can be a little bit more difficult to know, you know, what should I be reading? And you mentioned a little bit about documentaries to watch. So I don't know if you have any specific recommendations about books or things to read that students can do to sort of understand the subject a bit better.
Absolutely. I mean, one thing we have to remember, Chris, is you're not walking into your sort of maths first year of your maths degree as a professional mathematician. You just need to be a good student. That's what they're looking for. A good student who's keen and who's interested, you know, in that subject. So it's not about, oh, I need to go and learn some first year undergraduate maths and then they're going to like me. I don't think that's the point. The point is, you know, go onto YouTube. There's a really good YouTube channel called Numberphile, for example, and there's one called I think it's called Black Pen, Red Pen, and they try and give some ideas about maths without taking it to that degree level sort of formality. So anyone who's keen or interested should look at those things. There's lots of popular books out at the moment. I think people might have heard of Simon Singh, a really good sort of popular maths author, and he's written books about coding, and I think one about the Enigma code, one about Fermat's last theorem. There's loads of other books. I mean, if anybody is interested, they can just drop me a quick email. I've got a book list which I've shared with my Year 12 maths UCAS tutees who are interested in doing that. And there's lots of magazines and journals as well. I know it might sound a little bit fictitious, but actually there are maths journals designed for sixth form students who are interested in these ideas. I mean, you only need to look at the news and see even Boris Johnson giving the old flattening of the curve spiel on TV. I mean, that's all maths, that's all modeling. And you know, where is that curve coming from and how can you understand that? You know, you can start getting some idea of that by reading these journals and looking at these videos.
I do have another question here from Anfisa. They're asking, is further maths necessary if taking computer science?
Well, the short answer is no. I think again, you've got a lot of A-level subjects which kind of fit quite nicely together. So there is a lot of sort of logic and mathematical style thinking in computing, but again, you know, like I said with the physics A-level, you know, it's not a prerequisite. Not even you don't even really need to do A-level maths, although I would recommend it. And again, further maths is only going to develop your confidence and your fluency in maths, and that will help you, you know, with certain aspects of computing. But I'm not a computer science teacher, and you know, perhaps that is better answered by Ruchi, you know, our computer scientist at college. But it is a good combination. We do have some students this year who have done maths, further maths and computing, And we have had students, going back to the physics question before, who have done maths, further maths and physics. But that's not to say those are the only combinations, okay?
Yeah, sure. And just adding to that, one of the benefits of studying at Ashbourne is there is no real sort of blocking or structuring to timetables, in the sense that you can take any A level that you want. You can do any kind of combination. It makes it a bit of a nightmare to timetable, but it's something that we spend a lot of time on to enable students to be able to just to take any A level that they want in any kind of combination. Obviously, you do need to think about your university application, but if you do come to Ashbourne, you can combine, you know, computer science and drama with chemistry. It doesn't really matter to us if that's what you really want to do. So yeah, great. Thanks, Imran. We do actually have another question here. I can see Imran. Basira is asking, is further maths ever a required subject, or is it always just desired? I imagine she means for universities.
Well, I think with the Cambridge maths undergraduate program and a couple of the other ones, Oxford and Imperial, I believe, those are necessary. But for most of the other ones, it would just be a recommended A level. I mean, I would recommend anyone who is serious about studying maths at university, I would heavily recommend them to do further maths. You know, that's really going to give you a flavor of, am I really cut out for this subject? You know, do I really want to be doing maths at university? I mean, I would strongly advise that. There are a few courses across the country where they might not ask for further maths for a maths degree, but the very top ones would ask for it. And likewise, if you want to do natural sciences, engineering, physics, at one of the top unis, you know, further maths could be very useful, but it would not be absolutely necessary.
Great. Okay. Thank you for that question, Basira. There aren't any other questions now, Imran.
Yeah.
So I think that's really covered everything. Oh, no, we do have another question. Just jumping in there.
Keep firing away.
Yeah. Yeah, keep them coming.
Right.
So Niz is asking, is it compulsory to take further maths for aeronautical engineering, or is just maths okay?
Maths is okay. So for aeronautical engineering, the A levels which will be compulsory are maths and physics, and any other A level. Although, as we've heard from some of the people already, you know, there are sort of common combinations that people will have: maths, physics, computing, maths, physics, chemistry, maths, physics, further maths. But it doesn't have to be like that. A lot of, like Chris said, a lot of students are sort of mixing it up these days, and that can add to the sort of the uniqueness of your application. But I wouldn't choose something just for the sake of it. You should be interested in what you're choosing, and hopefully you enjoy it, and it's got some relevance to what you want to do in the future. So further math is not a prerequisite for aeronautical engineering. But it would be helpful, because a lot of the stuff you would learn in further maths you would be covering in the first year of your degree. So again, if you wanted a taste of some things to come, that would be a very good idea. Okay, great. Thanks very much for that, Imran. All right. We'll be moving on now to physics with Peter. But thank you for that webinar. Thank you very much, Imran. Everyone. Take care. Cheers.